Assalamu alaikum, my friend. I hope you're doing well. Let me ask you something. Have you ever wanted to disappear? Not because you hate the world, but because your heart simply became tired of it. You keep smiling. You keep moving. But somewhere inside, you are searching for a place where the noise finally stops. Surah Al-Kahf begins with people entering a cave. But perhaps the deeper question is not where they went. It is why they needed to leave. And maybe, just maybe, you are carrying a cave inside you too. A hidden place where your soul is desperately asking to remember Allah. Sometimes we spend years believing that our biggest problems are outside us. We blame the people who hurt us, the opportunities we lost, the doors that never opened, the person who walked away, the life we thought Allah would give us. But what if the deeper battle is happening somewhere much closer, inside you? Surah Al-Kahf does something remarkable. Its stories keep changing, but the human problem underneath them remains strangely familiar. A believer faces pressure. Another person becomes attached to wealth. Musa discovers the limits of his own understanding. Dhul-Qarnayn is given power. Different situations, different people, different tests. But beneath them all is one question. What happens to the heart when something becomes more important than Allah? This is where the struggle becomes personal. Because your greatest test may not always be the thing you are trying to escape. Sometimes it is your attachment to being understood. Sometimes it is your need to control the future. Sometimes it is your hunger for recognition. Sometimes it is the quiet voice inside you saying, I deserve this. I need this. I cannot live without this. That is where the nafs becomes dangerous. Not because every desire is evil, but because the heart can slowly begin taking direction from desire instead of truth. And suddenly, you are not fighting the world anymore. You are fighting the version of yourself that refuses to surrender. This is why the spiritual journey can feel so strange. You can change your surroundings and still carry the same anxiety. You can leave one person and still remain attached. You can enter solitude and still hear the noise inside your own mind. The cave can protect your body, but only Allah can transform your heart. And perhaps this is the first secret Surah Al-Kahf is asking you to confront. What if the thing you keep asking Allah to remove from your life is actually revealing something He wants you to discover within yourself? What if your most dangerous test is not the thing that makes you cry? What if it is the thing that makes you feel like you have finally won? This is where Surah Al-Kahf becomes deeply uncomfortable. Because not every test arrives as pain. Some arrive as success. The Quran tells us about the man who was given 2 gardens. His wealth surrounded him. His crops flourished. Everything appeared to be going right. And perhaps that is why the test was so powerful. He began looking at what he had and slowly forgot who gave it to him. Isn't that something we can recognize in ourselves? When life becomes difficult, we raise our hands. But when everything works out, do we still remember? When the money is coming, when people admire us, when our plans succeed, when the future looks secure, does the heart still say, Alhamdulillah, with the same dependence? Or does it quietly begin saying, I built this, I earned this, I deserve this? That is the hidden danger. The blessing itself may not be the problem. The problem begins when the blessing becomes a veil, when you stop seeing Allah because you are too fascinated by what Allah has given you. And this is where the story becomes personal. Maybe the relationship you desperately want is a test. Maybe your career is a test. Maybe your beauty is a test. Maybe your intelligence is a test. Maybe even your dreams are a test. Because anything that enters the heart can become either a reminder of Allah or something that makes you forget Him. The question is not simply, what has Allah given me? The deeper question is, what has His gift done to my heart? Because sometimes Allah tests us by taking something away, and sometimes He tests us by giving us exactly what we asked for, and that second test can be far harder to recognize. There is a dangerous moment in the spiritual journey when knowing more can make you see less. Surah Al-Kahf reveals this through the journey of Musa and Khidr. Musa was a prophet, yet he was taught a lesson in something every human being struggles with. You can know something and still not know the whole story. Think about your own life. A door closes and you immediately think, this is a punishment. Someone leaves and you think, my life is falling apart. A prayer is delayed and you wonder, why isn't Allah answering me? But what if you are judging an entire story from one page? This is where knowledge can quietly become a veil. Not because knowledge is bad, but because the ego can turn knowledge into the illusion that we understand everything. Ibn Arabi's spiritual thought repeatedly points toward the vastness of divine reality and the limitations of human perception. We see the moment. Allah knows the whole journey. And sometimes the hardest form of surrender is not accepting what happened. It is accepting that you cannot yet see why it happened. So before you ask, why did Allah allow this? Pause and ask something deeper. Am I looking at my life through what I know or through what I still haven't understood? Because sometimes the veil is not ignorance. Sometimes it is the certainty that we already know. Maybe the cave was never meant to be a place where you stay. Maybe it was the place where your heart learned to wake up. Surah Al-Kahf takes us through faith, wealth, knowledge, and power, 4 different tests, but one central question. What controls your heart? Perhaps you are in a cave right now, waiting, healing, confused, separated from something you once thought you needed. But don't assume your hidden season is your final destination. Sometimes Allah takes you away from the noise so you can finally hear what your soul has been trying to tell you. The cave was not the end of their story, and maybe yours isn't either.